This is E&P Reports from Editor and Publisher Magazine, the authoritative voice of news media since 1884, serving newspapers, broadcasts, digital, and all multimedia news publishing. And greetings once again, Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P Magazine. Quick housekeeping, if I must, and I may. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, please follow us. Watching us on our YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button below me, smash the bell to the right, get an update each and every time we upload a new episode of E&P Reports. To keep me honest on this episode, I am joined from our news team, Victoria Holmes, a contributing writer who is based in Texas. But Victoria, thanks for coming on board today.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, a face that's familiar to many in our industry, John Garrett. John, do I call you John P. Garrett or John Garrett or just John or
just John? Yeah, John Garrett. That's fine. Yeah, John, you call me John P. Garrett. Whatever. You
are CEO, founder of, I used to call you guys Community Impact Newspapers. We will take the word newspaper away and call you Community Impact. The reason for that will come up in a little bit when we get into our dialogue. You're Texas-based, obviously, and something else I dug into, even though you built this huge, amazing printing facility in 2016 that does multicolor platforms, is it true you're colorblind, sir?
That is true. Good research. That is so true. And the press guys give me a hard time all the time. I'll be like, hey, I think we need a little more yellow in there. But
and like me, your business partner is your best friend and your wife, right? You work
100%. That's right.
And her name is Jennifer, right?
That's right.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to get to John, talk about what's happening with community impact on the backside of this message.
This episode of E&P Reports is sponsored by IQ Audience Plus by Town News. Consumer revenue has never been more important. Digital leaders at media organizations worldwide are asking the same question. How do we accelerate the growth of consumer revenue? Traditional one-size-fits-all paywalls aren't the answer. They're blunt instruments that treat all visitors the same way, costing you money. IQ Audience Plus by Town News is a smart, dynamic metering solution that empowers you to maximize revenue by identifying key audiences, seeding engagement, and growing membership and subscriptions. Ready to supercharge your consumer revenue, grow engagement, and bolster your advertising income? Visit townnews.com/EP today to learn more about IQ Audience Plus by Town News.
All right, John. I guess we should start off first with what I just said before we took our commercial break. I was going through a lot of the information about your company. You just went through some kind of a repositioning of your branding. Is that what I mean, you changed the logo and you took the word newspaper out. Not that I'm upset about that, but a lot of people have done that. I mean, I just came from our conference that was hosted not by Pennsylvania Newspaper Association, Pennsylvania News Media Association. The Newspaper Association of America is now the News Media Alliance. So a lot of people are removing that word paper from your, was that the reason, or what was the whole reason for this repositioning?
I think that was my fear when people would say, oh, the reason is because you're getting away from the newspaper. That's not it at all. It's that we have built great digital owned and operated products. We have a morning podcast, as you know, the morning breakdown that we're doing now locally for Austin, Houston, and Dallas. I've learned a lot from podcasts like yours about the newsletter opportunities, and we built incredible daily email newsletters that are truly hyperlocal, that have really taken off. So we're not just a newspaper company anymore. We truly feel like community impact better represents who we are in the markets that we serve. And so, but the newspaper is strong. We have strong year-over-year growth, even over 2019. So in our news products, same store sales. So we're very bullish on our product, our print product. And if you want to talk about it, I mean, I call it, phygital, that we live in a phygital world. And
can you spell that, please?
Yeah, well, being from Pflugerville, I like to put a P in front of it if we can. But yeah.
Well, no, let's spell that. You're from Pflugerville, Texas. Which is PF.
Austin, right. Right. So we put a little PF in front of it. But it's obviously PH. It's kind of physical plus digital combined. And Mike, I learned this like concept. I was invited to a church planting conference in Nashville. And what it was these church planters that were trying to start these new churches, and they're trying to be innovative in their process. And they asked business leaders to come and kind of judge their business plans. And this is the first time I'd heard of this concept called phygital, because during the pandemic, churches were trying to figure out, you've got a digital video, right? Now people were watching at home, and yet they felt like it was important to bring people together, right, to their churches. So they're trying to figure out this phygital world, like, wow. And I think that's what world we're living in. All of us are. We have physical lives and we have digital lives. And so for us, our phygital strategy is a strong commitment to the print physical product, which, as you may know, we mail to every household in the markets we serve.
Let's just define that while you're in the middle of this dialogue.
Sure.
Because for those who don't know your company, you're a monthly stitch and bound, completely free new publication. Am I correct, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's mailed. You don't do
mailed.
You're totally mailed.
Right.
And it's and we're going to get into your revenue models in a bit. And I know that Victoria's chomping at the bit to get some more questions. Yeah. And it's community based. In other words, hyperlocal journalism. How many markets now? How many different 30 something? Am I right?
Yeah, we have 35 publications.
4 regional publishers, which means you're in 4 now metro areas of Texas, which are?
Austin is where we started. Then we went to Houston, then Dallas, and now we're in San Antonio.
Right before the pandemic, we reported you were trying to expand into other states. You've compressed that back since the pandemic, sir?
Yeah, and we can talk about that too. I'm very open about that. Yeah, we started Atlanta, as you know.
I know.
March of 2020. But remember, Mike, it was only going to be 6 months. So,
I know. It was a 6 month
6
pandemic.
weeks. It was going to be 6 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, that's what remember. It was going to be 6 weeks. So, but yeah, I'll be happy to talk about that, our decision.
No, it's okay. But
yeah, no, I'm good.
So you got 30 some, so everybody knows. And now the total audience, or how many mailboxes are you impacting right now?
Yeah. We are the largest local news organization in Texas. We're in 2.6 million households with our print product, and our digital email now. We're today, we're sending about 160,000 opt-in, obviously daily emails a day to Texans. So that's kind of our footprint, but it's a huge market, but we have a huge reach in the state.
And you're okay. Well, let me throw it to Victoria for a second. Victoria, what do you want to pose to John here about his operation?
Well, I found something interesting on your website, and it says community impact news paper, right? Started in 2005 with 3 full-time employees covering Round Rock and Pflugerville. I'm from Texas. Yeah. And I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. I'm from Dallas, so that tells you my extensive Texan knowledge. At what point did you start seeing like the exponential growth where you cover 30 some or publish 30 some papers in Texas?
Yeah, great question. So I started the paper in 2005, the game room of our house. I have a long history in the newspaper business. I was at the Houston Chronicle during the glory years and learned a lot about distribution. I was always on the business side. And so I learned about the mail business. And then my wife and I are from Austin. As you know, a lot of people like to live in Austin. And so we moved back to Austin and worked at the Austin Business Journal. And that's kind of where I got the idea that I felt like something was missing at the community level. So we had community newspapers, but I felt we didn't have kids at the time. We didn't care about Johnny kicking the winning field goal. We wanted to know, is there going to be a Starbucks near our house, right? And so we had this idea, and I was like, why don't we just create this business journal that goes to every house? Because I knew from even in 2005 at the Austin Business Journal, it was expensive to get subscribers. I think back then the cost was like $170 to get a subscriber was the cost to get somebody to pay you $80 a year. So I knew subscribers were hard to get even back then. And so I said, okay, well, we got to have a free product, high quality, like the Business Journal. So it's written by journalists that are really good. We're going to send it to everybody. It's going to be full color, stitched and trimmed, as Mike mentioned, and let's see if it works. And we knew, like immediately we knew it worked. And so by month two, we obviously month one, what we did is we said, okay, everybody who buys a contract gets the first ad for half price, but month two, you're going to pay me. And so entrepreneurs out there know I was kind of doing a cash flow game, right? Like how do I kind of keep my cash flow going? So month two, and I had everyone prepay, right? Which was really smart. And so that's how we built it. And I had a $30,000 Southwest Airlines credit card, but I knew after that first edition went out, to answer your question, that we had hit a home run. I had calls and emails, and the month two, we'd sold out within 2 weeks for the next edition. So then we looked like next door in Cedar Park, Leander. We're like, hey, wait a minute. They don't have anything like community impact. Let's start a community impact there. And so we found a lot of advertisers who liked what we were doing in Round Rock, also wanted Cedar Park, Leander. So it kind of created this, kind of like the game of Risk, where you kind of create these like contingent or contiguous states or whatever that are next to each other that have businesses that do business in both markets that will support both papers. But have unique teams. So the quality of the content is still very hyper local.
If I could ask, John, you twice used the word business journal, but if they're not business journals going to these homes, they're hyper local community journalism. That's talking about, as you said, what's happening in the town. It's not negative news, right? You're not going out. When I mean negative, I mean you're not doing if it bleeds, it leads type stuff, right? What kind of where's the core of the content? I guess what I'm asking. If you were to describe it, give me the elevator pitch.
So we cover city government. So we have reporters showing up to city council meetings.
Okay, cool.
So they show up, commissioner court meetings, school board meetings. But when I say business journal, I mean we're covering the business of schools. So we're not covering school sports. We're covering city government. So we're covering city budgets. We're covering transportation. We do that really well. We cover healthcare, and we cover real estate and development really well in the markets. So that's why it's kind of a focus. Right? The business journal is the best way to explain it. It really is. Our goal is to take these kind of complex city issues like your tax bill, and we use really high quality infographics to make those complex issues compelling. So we make people interested in their tax bill. And the data is really clear, Mike. I've shared on LinkedIn, a lot of people don't believe it, that don't live in the markets that we serve, but it's not our data. The last City of Round Rock survey that the city put out, we just got that back a couple of weeks ago. We went from 74% of residents saying they get their news from community impact 2 years ago to 77%. So we went up. And the next nearest one is below 50%, local TV news or Facebook or city website. So we're reaching 70 to 80% of residents in the markets we serve. The data is clear on that, and people like it. And that's
it's so funny because in the last few issues, we were doing in-depth stories about database journalism, which I'm a big believer in, because data collection is not as extensive as, I'm all into enterprise reporting, which is a lot of what E&P does. But when you can start dissecting data and unpacking it, a story builds itself in a way, correct?
Yeah, and now you got to think about the platforms, right? So if you take some data and you want to really show, things like water conservation by district, the paper does a really good job. If you have a full page spread with color, you get to tell stories with infographics and data in the newspaper better than you can even online. However, online, we just did a story on local real estate trends about investors buying all this real estate, kind of created this bubble. If you go through that story, you'll see like just continual charts and graphs that you can kind of do better because you have unlimited scroll space on the web. So both of them play an important role, or can play an important role. If you invest in design resources, you can make it look really amazing.
Victoria?
I have a quick question. Yeah. So are your reporters also the designers, or is there like a separate team for designing and a separate team for reporting?
Yeah, we have separate designers, and we tell them their job is to help tell the story. So we like our journalists to kind of take the local reader's approach. Like if a reporter's writing a story that's complex, we want the designer to say, I don't understand that. How do I make this infographic help tell the story? So the designers are unique positions, and they're all everybody's full-time staff. and they work directly with the
Wow.
reporters and the editors to make a really great product.
So that's something interesting. Were you scouting for reporters who have graphic design skills, or was it a conscious choice to keep it separate?
It was not conscious. We have reporters that do have significant design skills, and as you know, a lot of what's happening in journalism classes is the storytelling has changed. So you have to be able to be a good writer, and you have to be able to produce it through many platforms of technology. And so they are getting better at being, helping with the design, and we like that about our teams. The reporters do help the designers, and sometimes they'll even sketch out like, hey, this is what I want, especially those that can kind of think like that. And they work very collaboratively on getting the design right and making sure that the content's right and it looks good. But, we don't hire journalists. They don't have to have design skills. If they have them, great, they'll help. But we want them to do the building source relationships, showing up to meetings, finding out what people want to know, and doing the hard job of what a reporter does, gathering information and making sure that it's accurate.
All right, let me piggyback on what Victoria's topic was and take it up a few 10,000, 20,000 feet, and let's describe the structure, the hierarchy, and how your clustering works. I'm assuming, and I don't know this for a fact, that the design team and G&A and support and all that are in the home office, and when you're in a market that's outside of your home office, let's assume Dallas or whatever, then you're simply employing sales and journalism there. Is that
No, we have the same setup in Houston, Dallas, and Austin. We have designers in those markets.
Wow.
And I'll tell you the reason why we've done that.
Well, yeah, tell me why you do it.
Well, because, as Victoria knows, like everything in Texas it's so big. And so if you had somebody in Dallas that was designing something for Pflugerville, maybe you would leave the P off. But somebody in Austin is going to know that Pflugerville starts with a P.
So you're not centralizing a lot of things. These are standalone offices producing the product. You just do the printing in one central location.
We print in Austin, and we have our corporate, resources here. So our corporate headquarters is in Austin, but we just built a beautiful new building in Houston off 290 that houses our Houston team, and we have something like 80 employees there.
80 employees. Okay, how many publications in Houston are you
Houston,
printing?
we have 12 publications.
So for 12 publications, you have, let me say that again, 80?
Yes, right.
In an industry now that's so compressed, where everybody's laying everybody off, we're
adding positions, right?
You have 80 full-time people with benefits.
Yes, full.
What are you smoking?
Yeah.
It's like, so you got, and okay, before we get into how you're finding them and how you're keeping them, describe the structure there. You obviously have a chief, a publisher in Houston.
Right.
And then under that person is how many sales, how's the journalism set up? What do you got going on in there?
Yeah. So we have what we call them teams or pods. Okay. So we have a general manager, which is, Mike, because I've heard your podcast, and you're 100% right. You got to have a local face. So we're in Houston. So we have Tomball, Magnolia, right, which are suburbs of Houston. Chrissy Leggett, the amazing Chrissy Leggett, is our general manager out there. And she's the person that understands what's really going on, building sources. She's like the publisher for the local market. So then she has salespeople that go out and sell ads, right, to local businesses. But she also has editor, 2 reporters, and a graphic designer in that pod. So 1 editor and 2 reporters handle all those publications, or there must be just those 2, maybe those 2 publications. And listen, I may be giving you the wrong numbers. There might be 3 reporters out there, because it depends on what we do. Is as the page counts grow, we add reporters. Go figure, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we do. We invest more in our publications as the product grows. And instead of trying to be super lean and mean, we invest in quality. And I was just having this dialogue with, I don't want to say his name, but he's I had lunch with an owner down here in Florida this week, who was discussing that for every, certain
tens of thousands of population, you need one sales rep. And the compression is not what you do. You add more feet on the street, more money, more feet on the street, more money. So is this mostly hyper local selling? Are you like going into dry cleaners and talking to insurance agents, or are you just going for big dogs like Hearst wants to and $10,000 a month deals? I mean, how many 2x2s are you having to sell right now to be profitable? What's going on?
There might be a local publisher in Texas that you probably know, who I had this conversation with, and he said exactly what you said.
Yeah.
He said,
we don't deal with the little guys anymore.
We love the $500. I mean, he basically said, you pick up, the quarters, we'll take the dollar bills. And I was like, hey man, I think I see a quarter on the floor right there. I'll take it. So we're after the $500 mom and pop all the way up to the large region. I mean, we've got large regional hospitals spending, tens of thousands of dollars with us a month. We've got local mom and pops spending $350 with us a month. We are for helping local businesses thrive. And here's the thing, Mike, that I think you'll love. There's all this talk about the data. You got to get data. You got to make sure you have the data, first party data, all that stuff. The most important data point that you can have for any advertiser, the number one most important thing, unless they're selling super, super specific stuff, is geography. And in other words, if I know that people live in Tomball, Texas, or Katy, Texas, or Frisco, Texas, or Austin, Texas, and they're getting my publication that impacts them as hyperlocal, every single advertiser that's with us knows the number one most important thing is geography, because they have stores near that geography. They want to reach that geography. And so we have been able to grow and sell local business and grow our local business advertising because we own geography. Round Rock, Texas, we own it. If you own a business in Round Rock, Texas, and you want to grow that business, and really mostly B2C, right? Like you're trying to reach the consumer, then and you're not advertising in community impact, you're making a mistake. We can actually go to business owners and say that. And the ones who are here that get our paper, they know that. They know we're number one, and they love our product, and we want to have a budget that they all can afford to help let everyone around them know that they're there.
All right. I'm going to hold my revenue questions till near the end, because if you ever notice, whenever I talk to a publisher, I save the money till the end. So let me swing it back to Victoria for a second. I know she's chomping at the bit.
Well, I was just kind of curious about more the reporters and the journalists, as someone who does kind of more like the editorial content and all that stuff. What are you doing to keep them happy? Because there is this sort of, there's this right now atmosphere among people who are journalists and reporters that the newsroom isn't necessarily the best place to work in, due to like toxic work culture and deadlines and people having to work 3 different roles in addition to what they're doing as a journalist.
And can I add to her question also, their ethnicity, their age? Are you with all the issues now of diversity, are you representing your communities? But go ahead, Victoria. You were going to say, was there any other, do you want to add to that, or do you want to define his newsroom and how does he keep them happy? Is that?
Yeah. What are you doing to keep them happy? And I think that's a good point that you also brought up too.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot there, but let me just say that as a CEO, I have learned so much in the last 3 years about the next generation and about expectations of balance and of fulfillment at work. And so I'm still on a learning tour myself as a CEO, but I'm building an evergreen company, which means I want this company to last 100 years. And so if that's the case, then I need to learn how to work with each generation, right? And each generation is different. And so number one, my posture and our executive team's posture is we just did a listening tour where we went throughout our entire company, gave every employee a chance to talk to us about how we're going to make CI's next chapter the best. And we heard a lot about balance, right? We heard a lot about mental health. We heard a lot about cost of living and inflation increases. And we are tackling all of those issues. We just, this last week set a new minimum standard for all of our positions for compensation. We gave cost of living increases to all those people, that's particularly the one that needed the most. And we're built for us. Our kind of 3-year vision is that any journalist that wants to get into this business will want to work at Community Impact, because not only of how we are talent focused and talent centered, but also how we develop the talent. And we have a long way to go. I mean, mark this day down. We're, in 2022. I'd love to talk to you again in 2025 about whether or not that vision came to fruition. But I'm 100% committed to it. My wife, the other co-owner, is 100% committed to it. And so that's what we're doing. Have we always done a great job? No. But I'll tell you, every company is struggling. It's not even our business. It's not even the news business.
Of course.
Every company is struggling with that generation. But we're gonna solve it together. And the most important thing that I'm learning about that next group is the sense of fulfillment has to have a sense of purpose. So in other words, the next generation, they want to be fulfilled at work. They just don't want to be engaged. They want to actually be fulfilled in their work. And part of that, just a part of that, is that there's a purpose behind their work. And come on, if any industry has the chance to really shine in the purpose side, it's our industry, right? What we're doing to try to inform citizens in this time of craziness in our democracy, this is the most amazing opportunity for our industry to really figure out how to work with the next generation and to give them the work environment that they really want. And to me, that's super hard, but super exciting.
All right. I've attended 18 conferences this year. I'm surprised I'm not knocked out. I went to even Wyoming Press, and keynoted that one. I was everywhere. And everybody's talking about reader revenue. We got to lock down our content. They got to pay for it because we're not going to make it with advertising anymore. Those days are gone because we lost classifieds. Then they blame that, of course, on big tech, right? And Craig Newmark. By the way, I will be interviewing Jeff Jarvis soon on this very platform, who's going to tell all of them to go to where.
Yeah.
That statement.
Love Jeff. Yeah.
It's your own fault. It's not Craig Newmark. Then you've got the and we lost our inserts and Google and Facebook. We just got to attack them with legislation. And how this man must be smoking something. I'll say that again because there's no way you can be free in today's world. So you are free. Mm-hmm. You believe in the free model. By the way, there is some data that says if you lock it down, you're only going to talk to a small part of your demography.
Come on. That's the craziest part of it, Mike. Journalists today, they expect us to reach every citizen, and that's what we do. We reach every resident. Let's be clear. We reach every resident with our news, and every journalist wants that to be the case. But as you know, the lockdown content, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't lock it down and be for every resident.
So people would be booing you on a stage right now. I'm just saying, but from that one statement. Number two, you're all in on print, correct? Yes, like I am. I will publish every month until the day I die, but that's not all my revenue. By no means do I rely 100% on it. But my question, did your rates go up 30% in the last 3 months? Because mine did. And I'm shopping as much as I can, but we're both paying through the nose for that print and postage. You're all in there. So where the heck is the money coming from? I know let's talk about this donation model. It's almost like you're playing the guilt model. Come on, help us out. We're public television. What would life be like without Sesame Street for your kids? God forbid you don't see this great movie. We'll give you the mug. Come join the team. Is that your model? And is it working? How do you define this?
We have a CI patron model where we're like, hey, if you love CI's work, join us. And we have we have something like 450 people every month who give us $10 a month. So it's not a lot of money, but over the time we've probably, from
you're making about 4,500 a month. That's company wide. You're saying right now.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. Not many would. So that's better than a poking an eye with a sharp stick. You're doing about 60 grand a year.
And we're not trying and we're not doing anything. We're not really trying. We're just saying we're kind of building. For us, our vision is to build that relationship. We don't need it. We don't have to have it. We want to have it, and we want to understand our readers and our patrons better. But Mike, something else is happening behind the scenes, and what I mean by that is, you have to try in today's world, you can't just say, we're just going to print and mail and just, if you want to know about your community, you have to read it, right? The podcast, as you know, is like, that's one area that we're trying to expand our brand, but it's not profitable for us, but we're trying this. Patron is a way that, we just got out of COVID. So how can we bring our patrons together? How can they be product testers for us, right? New digital product testers.
But short of selling martinis in your lobby, then all that's left is advertising. So you're making your money in brute force advertising. And I also went through your collaterals. I don't see a lot of Garett digital services being sold. You're not selling social media management. You're not selling, let's build you a website. You're not selling search engine marketing. You're selling advertising, and you're surviving on that revenue. There are thousands right now listening to you going, he must be lying. Defend that. Is it working for you? Can you go back to the model of renting eyeballs? I mean, build a quality audience and rent them to your advertisers, because that's pretty much what you're saying, whether it's a podcast, a newsletter, sponsored content. You're circling back to core competency, correct? You're circling back to monetizing content. Do I have that right?
Can I add in something that might help? Because I was taking a look at the website, and when you sell advertising, you're selling like storytelling, right? Is that part of it?
That's one product. So that so our digital, to answer Mike's question, we don't sell digital services. I'm not saying that that's a bad path. We just like own and operated. So I don't want to ever say we'll never sell digital services, because we do hear it in the marketplace. We have local advertisers that say, we're doing all this stuff. And is there a way for us to do that? Maybe. That's a big shift for me, Mike, just even a couple of years ago. But we're not going to sell digital services because we have to. We'd only sell it if it really made sense for our customer. So to answer your question, Victoria, we have, I read a book called Dual Transformation, Mike, which I know you've heard in some of these. Yeah. But listen, I'm telling you, our industry, in my view, in my personal opinion, even the book authors got it wrong, which is crazy to say, I know. And this is just my opinion. Because even in the book, so dual transformation, the brilliance behind dual transformation is you have company A, which would be the newspaper, right? And you have company B, which would be how do you innovate digitally, right? Even in the book, the example they used, the news organization in Salt Lake City was really getting away from print. But what dual transformation, in my view, and how I interpreted the book and what I learned from some of the authors, is it's not about getting rid of print. It's about making print better. It's about dual transformation, not transformation. So most of our industry says, let's digitally transform. We're going to go from print to digital. This book says dual transformation. So you transform your print, you make it better, and you transform your digital, you make it better.
Well, so you're talking about Clark Gilbert and his just get your eye back on the, I get what you're, so tie that back to your revenue stream for me, please.
Mike, it's not complicated. Okay. So I think this is so funny to me, like Facebook, they are killing it. You know how many local dollars that are out there? What we do is we have a great product that people read. Okay. We have great salespeople that go and they cold call, and we built our own ERP system, which is, you wouldn't believe it. We built we're kind of a sneaky tech company. We built this full CRM.
I saw that you don't do third-party vendors. You build it on your own.
Yeah, we built it on our own. So it has like a sales tool, right? So our salespeople go out to the market. They build relationships. They go to Chamber of Commerce lunches. They have a great product that everyone loves that they're selling. They go build relationships with them. We do the 3-call closes. We do all the right things on the selling side, thinking about long-term relationships. And we sell ads at the local level. It's not complicated. And we think about return on investment. We think about how we can help our clients grow. If you think about like all the businesses that care about the cities that any of your listeners care about, they want to be where local business is. They want to be where community is. And they're dying. They know Facebook is not where community is. They're dying for local publications to be high quality. They have a message to tell. And let's be real. Most of the news websites that are digital only, I know I'm going to hurt some people's feelings here. I do it out of complete respect because every entrepreneur deserves so much respect because they're
Right, I
trying.
get it.
But most of the news websites are going to be policy wonks, even those that are free. Like, to really get the everyday citizen that's busy, that's got kids, that's, worried about the recession or worried about whatever is going to happen in the future, they're hard to get. And our product pushed out to them in the mail, right? Not thrown on the yard, but in the mail, high quality. They get it in their mailbox. It's really good. Front cover looks really nice. It's an interesting story that they care about. They're going to read it. If they read it, then advertisers want to talk to those folks. It's not hard. I'm not that smart. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that to be true. The thing that I do, though, that most people really underestimate is two things in my view. I care a lot about our people. Like, if you think about what keeps me up at night, Jennifer and I, that's what we care about. And number two, I think that people underestimate is I study our industry. I listen to your podcast. I'm always like, hey, Mike, ask him this. And I try to put all the podcasts together. Like, I study our industry, and I want to be, maybe I'm wrong, like on digital services. I always beat it up because I thought it was like 25% margins, and I think in the early days it was. All of our own and operated products are going to be at least 50% margins. Yeah. So why would I want to sell Google, Facebook ads at 20? But now my understanding is that you can get those digital services up above 50%. And then it starts to get kind of interesting. Like, can you actually use them to help people grow their business? So that's not something we're working on right now, but that's something that I'm curious about.
And you heard it first right here. Victoria, I'll let you pose the last question if you have one on the tip of your tongue.
Oh, that is a lot of pressure for me. But this is a fun one. Something that I heard in I believe it was your Boral Miami speech when it was on your website. You don't cover sports in Texas. So
although I did some digging, I stalked this guy. You didn't know this, Victoria. He says on his own site, you're the biggest SHSU fan in the world. Eat 'em up cats. Yes. So you're a sports junkie and you don't report on sports.
What?
What's up with this?
Yeah, like local sports in Texas is like
high school sports, man.
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights, Texas, right?
Well, I'll just say this, that our vision is to be the largest news organization in Texas. And I don't think you can be that and not have sports. So I'll leave that there.
Okay.
Open it. Okay. Perfect place to leave it. So I want to thank...
Great question, though. Great question.
Go Cats. Victoria, thanks so much for being part of this conversation with Mr. Garett. John, CEO and founder of Community Impact Newspaper. Also, I should say, let's see, you've won a few awards. Best CEO by the Austin Business Journal, Distinguished Young Alumnus by Sam Houston State University, and also won the KPMG Executive Leadership Award from the Austin Chamber of Commerce. John, you should start wearing ribbons down your shirt when you go to work. No, but I really am a big fan of yours. And by the way, I also concur with everything you're saying. One of the success of E&P has been a lot of what you're saying. We just develop relationships with our advertisers or work our tail off to have great content. It's not brain surgery. That's my speech at the States. I always, it's called Stop Overthinking and Just Do It. I mean, it's just get out of the weeds and just do what you're supposed to do. But yes.
I just want to say this, like, when you took it over, I knew of who you were in the industry, but I want to just tell you, there's so many people that you are really impacting that are doing this heavy lifting. So many of us that are learning from you. And I just want to say thank you for the energy that you bring is the energy that our industry should have.
Oh, wow.
Our future is bright. Our future is bright. Like, let's go. Let's innovate. Let's stop making excuses. Let's hire great people like Victoria, right? And let's continue to make sure that things are happening that show that our future is bright, because it is. Let's go.
Hashtag blushing. Thanks, John. Stay healthy, stay well. I can't wait to see you at the next event. And Victoria, keep doing some great reporting for us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.